Automata Fusion project, and our goal is to build this entire model and have it be working. So we're going to put 6 cams on an axle with 6 followers bouncing up and down as the axle turns. So that's our goal, to build that in Fusion. So let's head on over to Fusion, and we're going to focus in on parts and part names and making sure we have some really good file management skills. So whatever project you're in, I'm in the project called videos because, as you can tell, I am making a video. So go ahead and create a new folder in whichever project you're in, and let's call this Automata. And then double click on it. That way it's active and all of our saved files will appear right here. That way we can find them super easily in the Automata folder. All right, so feel free to close that if you want. And then we are just going to get started right away in a new space and a new sketch. And I'm going to start by creating the bottom of this box. So I did click on the bottom plane, and with just a regular rectangle, I'm going to make this 4.5 inches by 4 inches. Okay. And let's go ahead and finish sketch, and we will extrude this, and we want this to be 0.25 inches on the extrusion. And what I did just then was wrong because I didn't think about it. I just let it be a regular body, and I'm going to actually undo that extrusion so it disappeared from my panel down here, and I'm going to re-extrude. And yes, I do want it to be 0.25, but what I want is a new component. Components are important when we start naming things and we have parts lists, so we do want to see that as component 1. So yes, I could save it and I could just have this gray box, but I'd really like to apply some appearances to this. So I'm going to hit A for appearance, and then you can search and pick something if you want. I'm going to end up using MDF for a lot of this stuff, which is like a press board type thing. And you might have to hit the download arrow to make it available to you, but click and drag. And that makes it look like the type of box that we're going to be building ours out of. So when I go to save this, I'm going to call this bottom, and it is now saved. So I'm going to X right on out of that. I'm going to pull up my data panel again, and this is going to be the exact same thing as the top of the box. So I'm going to copy this. And yep, I want it to go right into my videos. And yep, it is saving to videos and Automata. So I'm good there. And now instead, I don't want that one to be called bottom. I want that to be called top. Okay. So we're good to go. We have a bottom and we have a top. We need 3 more pieces to this box. So let's come right over here and create a new sketch. And I'm going to create my sides. So once again, I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and this will be a 4x4. All right, that looks good. Finish the sketch, extrude it, and once again, it is 0.25 inches for my distance. And once again, I want new component. Go ahead and click OK. Let's apply an appearance to this. And again, I'm just going to search for MDF. Drag that over. Save this as side. And it pops up in my data panel. I'm going to X right out of that since I'm done messing with the side. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to call this left side. I'm going to be really specific with it. And then I'm going to make a copy of it. Saving to the right place, just hit copy. And I'm going to rename that one right side. Although if you accidentally hit tab instead of enter, it doesn't save. Okay. So we have a left side, a right side, top and a bottom. Now we need the back. Well, interestingly enough, the back of the box is the exact same size as the left and right sides, but I'm going to go ahead and make a new sketch, and this time I'm going to use that back plane, that back wall, and this one is also 4x4. And we'll go ahead and finish sketch and extrude 0.25. Again, create a new component. We're going to do that every time we make a new part, even though we're in all these separate part files. And another wood appearance, MDF for that, and we're good. Let's go ahead and hit save. And we'll call this back. All right, go ahead and X out of there. We have all 5 sides of this box created. Now I'm in a brand new design space, and the first thing I'm going to do here is hit save, and I want this to be my assembly. So this is the entire Automata assembly. Everything is going to go in here. We're not doing any sub-assemblies. This is a true bottom-up approach to this, where we build every individual part in our data panel, and then we have one assembly file. So you might be able to click and drag things in. Sometimes that works in Fusion, sometimes it doesn't. Instead, I'm going to have to right-click and choose Insert into Current Design. And here comes my back, so press Enter. And do the same thing with the bottom. Insert into Current Design. And you know what? I actually made this a little funny, so I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. And click OK. And you'll notice we're still able to drag these around, but I did want that to be rotated. Drag in the left side or right click and insert. And press enter. Insert the right side. Press enter. Drag that over here and insert the top. And before I press enter, I do want to rotate this one 90 degrees as well. And so there's my top. Okay, if you're ever not sure which part is which, hover over the names here in your browser bar, because then it'll highlight the part itself. All right, so I've had varying degrees of luck with being able to actually ground an object. So I do want the bottom to actually be grounded. So if I right click on the name in the browser panel and choose ground, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I'm still able to move it. I don't know if that's just a weird quirk that Fusion is experiencing. I think it has something to do with the assembly component of it. I have no idea. But we need to get these pieces to stick down to our base here. So I'm going to use the joint, and these will all be rigid. So we want rigid joints. And I'm going to do a little rotating, a little zooming in onto these points, snap points, on these edges so that I can place them facing up right there and click OK. So the right side is perfectly good to go, or at least the right side as we are looking at it. Then I'll do the same thing with the left side. Zoom in, use a rigid joint, and again I want it to be that outermost corner facing down to go on the outermost corner facing up. So be careful of what you're selecting as your joint points. If you get the wrong one, hit cancel or undo or delete a joint out of here. Yeah, so just kind of be careful of what you're placing where. Now we could either try to put the back in or we could try to put the top on. Either one, doesn't really matter which one goes first. So a joint point facing down and then a joint point facing up. There we go. And the top is on. Now you'll notice that on the back side, the back has to fit into and go inside. So we might be able to use an offset because we made everything 0.25 inches thick. So let's see what we might have going on as far as jointing goes. Let's get this to face down. So zooming in is a good thing. Zooming in is your friend. All right, let's see if we can get a joint point to face up. Ooh, it doesn't look like we can. Can I use that joint point? Well, it's giving us a little bit of trouble, and partly because this side is kind of in the way of a snap point location. So if you ever want to hide something, since that's the right side, you can choose the eyeball and it'll just hide it. It's still there, but it's not going to be in our way for us to try to joint these things together again. So there we go. Click that snap point. Come down here, choose this snap point, make sure it faces up. And then, right, it's a little too far to the left because we need to slide it or offset it by 0.25. So by dragging the arrow, I know, hey, this is actually the X offset that we can set to 0.25. For you, it might be a different variable, but once you drag that arrow, then you know which one it is. All right. So that is sitting nice and flush in there. Let's bring the right side back. Everything looks perfect. So those are some tips and tricks that you can use. When you hit the home button, make sure this is your orientation. If it is not, if perhaps, this is your home rotation or something else weird, you'll want to get it in this position, get it in this orientation, then right-click on the house and set current view as home and choose fixed distance. Okay? That's how you can orient it so that everything will look nice and tidy in this nice isometric direction, because the opening definitely is the front of the box. So hit save. Make sure you save your box every time you make some changes, just in case Fusion crashes. You never know. And that's the scoop. Next time, we will work on the next components of the box.